OD Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. So, just a little over a month ago, the CW Arrowverse finally came to an end after 10 years. First starting, or at least premiering, with the first Arrow episode in 15th May 2013, and finally ending with the Flash series finale on 24th May 2023. 10 years of this TV universe existing, and boy, was it one hell of a ride. Now, originally I was gonna talk about the different Arrowverse shows I watched. Then I realized, oh wait, I did do a video on them, like in 2020, 2021, around there. And it doesn't make sense to do another video. I didn't even watch all of them. I've really bothered to watch Flash, Supergirl, and The Legends of Tomorrow. I never even bothered to watch Arrow, the original series that this universe started with. However, I decided it would be more fun today to talk about all the Flash seasons I've watched, because I have watched the entire series, and I thought, hey, the series has finally ended. I might as well have fun ranking all of the seasons from worst to best, because I have never seen a show fall this far from grace, you know? Back when it premiered in 2014, it was one of the most beloved shows basically in the entire world. However, everyone can agree that at a certain point it fell off and the show just became very bad. Like, it became very, very, very bad. And I thought it would be fun to take a nice look back at the last 9 years of this show existing and just have some nostalgia, both in the good and in the bad, and just the laughably, horribly bad that we all would laugh at together. Of course, if you're a bit confused, yes, this video was supposed to come out before the Flash movie, but my plans went very awry, so that did not end up happening. So we're just gonna have fun here. This video will also act as a stand-in for my Flash Season 9 review, because I promised I would never ever dedicate a full video to the Flash after Season 7, and I'm still sticking to that promise. So count this both as my Season 9 review and as just a review for the whole series in general. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's rank every season of the Flash from worst to best. Coming in at number 9, we have Season 6. This was the first season that the new showrunner, Eric Wallace, had produced under his belt, and oh boy did he come in swinging. It's no secret that the fan base really does not like Eric Wallace, as it seems he just does not like the character of the Flash, and yeah, this being his first season should have been a telling sign. This, in my opinion, is the worst season of the show. I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with me. I haven't seen anyone trashing Season 6 as much as I do, but it is just bad. I mean, for one, let's get the obvious out of the way. They made the Flash slow. That's the whole premise of this season, is that Barry is slowly losing his speed. We come to watch for the Flash because he's a guy who runs super fast. How do you have an entire season dedicated to him running slow? Where's the logic? This was also the season that introduced chaptered storylines. As said, Eric Wallace introduced kind of arcs into the Flash, where every couple episodes would have a different arc to focus on. This was the first season that did that. And while I don't hate the idea of him splitting up a season story into arcs, why not just make the seasons shorter then? Not only would you save up on a lot of budget, but you'd actually get to choose what stories deserve to get told. Why even bother chaptering your stories within the same season? So this was the season that decided to have 2 chapter arcs. The first arc focused on Bloodwork and his storyline. Then we had Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then afterward we had the storyline with Mirror Woman, or Mirror Ma'am, or whatever her face was. This season had the worst villains, I'm not gonna lie. Bloodwalk just wasn't that engaging as a villain. He had all the makings of a great villain, they just didn't flesh him out that properly. And that's the problem, is that he's so paper thin. He felt more like an episodic villain than a main villain. And don't even get me started on how they brought him back in Season 9. That is just atrocious. In Mirror Woman, I mean, yeah, Mirror Master is better. It's no secret that everyone prefers Mirror Master. But the fact that she had to go out of her way to beat up Mirror Master just to prove she was better was so dumb. Anyway, she was hella boring. No one remembers what her plan was, and honestly, like, she's so forgettable. No one wanted to see her again. Not to mention that this season ended so abruptly, mostly because of the pandemic. So we didn't even get the resolution to this season until Season 7. Yeah, that's right. The final arc of this season had to be carried over into the next season. And don't even get me started on how poorly they treated Reverse Flash. They also made Reverse Flash slow. They decided to have him try and possess Nash Well's body, even though Nash isn't a speedster. So, you know, Eobard possessing his body wouldn't have amounted to anything at the end of the day. But even then, all the fighting happens in Nash's mind. Barry has to jump into Nash's brain so that he can fight Eobard, who again isn't a speedster. So it's literally just a brain battle with basically the ghost of Eobard. It's so dumb. The only good things to come out of this season was Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it was the last time we got to see Ralph. This was the last season we got to see Ralph before he was booted off the show. Next season, you will always be remembered in my heart, Ralph. The show may have forgotten you, but I will never. But yeah, this season sucked balls. It was hands down the worst Flash season in my opinion. At number 8, we have The Flash Season 7. This is the most cartoonish season of The Flash. Like, it's not even campy. It's basically like a live-action cartoon. Literally, 99% of the villains beaten in this season are beaten with a pep talk. Literally, Flash uses talk no jutsu on all his villains and it just ends. It's also the season with an absurd amount of filler episodes that focuses on the Flash's side characters. It makes you even wonder, are they trying to set up a new show with the Flash's side characters like Allegra or Chester or whoever? Like they're trying to set up a spin-off show on these guys. Why is there so much focus on these side characters? It's honestly ridiculous. The Forces were the dumbest thing Eric Wallace introduced into the show, and boy, oh boy, was Godspeed a hilariously bad villain. He's just so laughably bad. Don't even get me started on how he was built up since season 5, and his final product, like the final thing we got from him is just, it's sad, it's pathetic. This show really just showed how pathetic it can be at times. It's also the season where we lost Cisco and Tom Cavanagh leaving in the next season, well, technically. And yeah, you can even tell that this show got real bad when even the cast members got sick and tired of it. Grant Gustin is like literally the only reason the Flash was running at this point in time. He's like the only guy who genuinely enjoyed being the Flash. And of course, everyone has clowned on the finale. I mean, this was the season that introduced freaking lightning shurikens, a freaking lightning lasso, and of course, bloody lightning lightsabers. What is this? This season is so bad, it's funny. It's horrible, but at the very least, unlike season 6, I was never bored watching it. Except for the dumb occasional filler episode. Coming in at number 7, we have The Flash Season 9. This is the season that truly made me understand how jaded I am. Like, just how much this show has kicked me in my balls that I don't even feel it anymore. Of all the horrible things this season has done, I just felt numb to the pain. It's so bad. It's so bad. The first 5 episodes are just comically hilarious with like Red Death. Like, it's because here's the thing, guys. Fun fact: did you know the CW doesn't really have the rights to Batman, the character? They only have the rights to Batman's fellow characters, like his side characters, like the Bat family, like Robin or Batwoman or Batgirl, and some of his villains like Penguin, but they don't have the rights to Batman and Joker and whatnot. So for the Red Death, in the comics, the Red Death was Batman who became evil, a Batman who became an evil speedster. But because they don't have the rights to Bruce Wayne, guess who they used? They used Batwoman from the show Batwoman, another CW show which I refuse to watch. And here's the thing, no hate towards the actress. As I said, I haven't watched the show, so I can't really say anything on the actress, and she's probably doing her best, but like, here's a fun fact, is that she's so incredibly short compared to the rest of the cast that every time she tries to look intimidating, it just comes off as hilarious. I already made fun of this in a couple shots I made a few months ago, but like, it is so hilarious how she tries to look so intimidating, yet everyone else is like just towering over her. And then we have the next 5 episodes, which are basically filler. And that's just the most baffling part to me. This is the final season of your 9-year running show, and you decide to dedicate a third of it to filler. What final season dedicates itself to filler? Who does that? And of course, the penultimate episode before the finale, like before the 4-part finale, we get one more episode where Bloodwork is reintroduced. And because they couldn't think of anything interesting to do with him, they have him be a threat to the multiverse. He plans to poison the entire multiverse. And then Arrow decides to come back, and he stays for like a huge chunk of the time. He says, oh, hey, buddy, I can't stick around for long. I'm just going to help you beat this villain, and then I'm going to go back to being dead. But even after beating the villain, he still sticks around. It's only when he's asked if he should go visit his wife and kids that he's like, nah, let me return back to the astral plane. Bro really just said, I'm going to go get the milk in the afterlife. Are you serious? But like, yeah, back to the multiverse thing. So in season 6, the multiverse was claimed to be dead, which is not true because at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, we saw that the multiverse was simply just reborn. However, the characters in universe didn't know that the multiverse was back, until the final season of the series, because I guess there was no other way for them to find out that the multiverse exists again. Whatever, it's dumb. However, the multiverse is brought back into the series, and I'm just confused. I'm wondering, why are you bringing the multiverse back if you're not going to tell more stories with it? The whole point of introducing the multiverse was in season 2 was so that you could have future seasons of story to tell with it. But now, you've brought it back in the final season. What are you going to do with it? And then, my my dumb self thought that okay, maybe they're gonna use the multiverse in the final season, in the final episodes. I mean, we are gonna get a 4-part finale. Maybe some part of it will do with the multiverse. Nope, the 4-part finale has nothing to do with the multiverse. So Arrow shows up for no reason. Bloodwork is here for the dumbest of reasons, and they bring the multiverse back for absolutely no reason whatsoever. This is the dumbest episode. And then the 4-part finale is just nonsense. The first episode is really good. That felt like true quality Flash again. This felt like something from the early season where Barry went back in time to make his younger self the Flash, or at least stop Eobard from killing his younger self. That was a really good episode, really touching. I actually felt some emotion in that episode. However, the last 3 is just complete nonsense. Nothing matters. This is also the season that just showed Eric Wallace's hard-on for Cecile. It's been a long-running meme that Eric Wallace has a crush on Cecile's actress, Danielle Nicolette, and that he keeps giving Cecile upgrades and new powers in some sort of weird way to get Danielle to like him. However, it has never been more apparent in this season. He just made her super buffed up for no reason. I mean, I get it, she hella fine, but that is no reason to turn the entire show into a simfest. And the season just ends with a complete flop, which is why I didn't even bother to do a review of the entire season. Why would I bother putting effort talking about the entirety of Flash Season 9 if the season couldn't even bother to go out with a bang? It went out with just one of the biggest ever, and I felt nothing. I felt nothing when this series ended. I can't say that the series finale broke the show for me, or anything like that, because really it's been on the same level as the other seasons. As said, it's better than season 7 and 6 at least. But at the same time, I can't say it's anything good. This is nowhere close to even being good to a great series finale. It's just a finale. Coming in at number 6, we have The Flash Season 8. This is one of the better bad seasons. It's still bad, but at the very least, it tries to tell a story. The first 5 episodes of Armageddon were pretty good, although you could really just make it a 4-parter. There was no reason for it to be 5 parts, but it was a pretty good start to the season. And the rest of the season just became complete nonsense. This was also the season that officially killed off Eobard, like present-day Eobard. But you wouldn't know it by the way the season ended. He just disappeared into a void and was gone. It took until season 9 for me to finally get, oh, he's actually dead. What? Okay, great. That's fantastic, sure. Suffice to say, season 8 was just a better version of season 7. But it's still bad. Although, to be fair, I will never get over how funny this is. Whether or not it's threatening or funny, you will have to admit that this is a memorable scene. Look at the top of his head! Thanks for the resurrection. Number 5 goes to the 5th season, Season 5. This is the first and the best of the bad seasons. Of course, this season was made before Eric Wallace officially joined the show, so, he didn't have a chance to rub his grubby hands all over it and just completely crap on Barry's character for no reason. But it's still bad. It's still really bad. Despite it being the best of the worst, it's still kind of the worst. A lot of things just go wrong with this season, especially in terms of characterization. I will get this out of the way. This season is carried by Nora and the Reverse Flash. They are the best parts of this season, and the finale is one of the best finales in the entire show. I will give credit where credit's due, and there are a lot of episodes I really do like. The premiere is obviously amazing, and I really like the 100th episode special where Barry and Nora go back in time to see his past adventures, and Nora does grow respect for her father and all the nonsense he has to deal with in life. It's really good. Everything else is a mess. This season has the most boring metas you can think of. I don't even remember most of them. And the ones I do remember are the ones who are just so lame. Like, I don't even know how they exist. Like, we have one who controls tech bees, and then we have another one who, like, whatever she touches explodes. I mean, that's a cool power on paper, but the way they execute it is so bad. And then we get Weather Witch, who, again, Weather Wizard is so much better. Why is she even here? And, like, I feel like she was made to be a Nora villain, but for some reason they fight her in the present. I don't care, man. And we have Cicada, who, again, is a really cool villain on paper. A meta-human who can dampen other meta-humans' powers. I mean, how do you defeat a villain who walks around like that? But no, this season suffers from being way too long. Again, this is before Eric Wallace came in and introduced chaptered seasons, seasons with arcs. So Cicada is basically the main villain for the entire season. Only problem is, because they defeated the first Cicada so easily, they're like, crap, what do we do? We need a villain for the second half of the season. Just make his niece Cicada as well. Time travel shenanigans. It's so bad. Nothing in this season just feels good. You can tell that the charm of the show had completely left the building, and the only good parts about it were the 100th episode and the finale. That's about it. This is also the season that really started to put focus on its side characters as well, like more focus than, normal, and it just began the downward spiral of the show. As much as people say the Flash died at season 6 when Eric Wallace took over, in my opinion, it really did die at season 5. This season laid the groundwork for what the show would become in later seasons, and it's just so god awful. It's the best of the worst, but it's still the worst. Coming in at number 4, we have season 3. Now, this is the good stuff. This was the Flash back in its heyday. I know a lot of people don't like this season, especially how tonally inconsistent it is at times, but I really enjoy it. This season not only had the best Wells, in my opinion. I mean, I will never get tired of HR. HR is such an amazing character. He's a joy to watch on screen. So not only do we get the best version of Wells, but we do get an interesting story to deal with the Flash and Iris. And again, this is before Iris's character got completely ruined. It's, this was still when she was at least enjoyable to watch, or at the very least when you cared about her surviving. It's also the season that introduced a bunch of metas that I do remember, including Wally as Kid Flash, which I really enjoyed. Was also a really good villain. However, the season structured it very awkwardly. Like, there was an episode where Barry went to the future before he found out Savitar's true identity. There was an episode where he went to the future and he met Future Him. Yet Future Him never bothered to tell him who Savitar is. And it's like, why would you not do that? Like, why didn't future Barry tell normal Barry that Savitar is an alternate version of Barry? Like a whatever clone or alternate reality Barry. Like, why didn't you do that to give him a heads up? What is happening? Don't you want to save Iris's life? Why would you not tell past you what to do? Why? Like, it's such a weird inconsistency, and it's like an actual flaw of the season, because the season did show that time travel is possible. Yeah, he never bothered to find out who Cicada is. What the hell? This season is also infamously known for wasting the Flashpoint story, that being, Barry going back in time to change his mother's death, or at the very least to save his mother, and because of that, he just kind of wrecked the future. This season tried to do that, he tried to adapt that storyline, and it only bothered to adapt it for like 2 episodes, and then the rest of the season was, oh wow, because Barry did Flashpoint, a new meta has awoken. Yeah, instead of having the end of the world storyline that the Flashpoint story did, they just said, nah, we'll create new metas because of it. I get that it's a CW, and that they probably didn't have the budget to actually go through with a Flashpoint season, but like, why even introduce it if you knew you couldn't deliver? Just wasted potential for that one all around. This season is also known for kind of ruining Barry's character in that he went back in time to stop his mother's death, even though him in the first 2 seasons, his whole lesson in the first 2 seasons was learning to accept life as it comes and to roll with the punches and to not use time travel as a cheat code. He just decides to throw all that out for Flashpoint. Again, the Flashpoint thing was a mess. But I still enjoyed the season. I swear, I do find enjoyment to season 3. I do think the CG and the fight scenes in the season were really good. And I do feel like the character drama, despite how convoluted it took us to get there, was really interesting. I feel like everything after Flashpoint was really great. But man, did Flashpoint mess a lot of stuff up from the previous seasons. Coming in at number 3, we have season 1. This is where it all began. You could tell that there was a certain sort of love for this series when it began. Just with the whole superheroes and the costumes and whatnot. It wasn't campy like the early Spider-Man movies, for instance. But you could tell that, yeah, this is a show that was made by nerds for nerds in a sort of sense. I really love the drama between the characters because at the end of the day, it is a CW show. And there is some really good drama here, especially with the rivalry of Flash and the Reverse Flash, which only grows better more or less as the series goes on. But I really do like the beginning here, especially that scene where Barry basically interrogates Reverse Flash and he tells him the history of their rivalry. It's really good stuff. My only drawbacks with the season is that because it is the first season, there's a lot of beginner's mistakes you'd find, especially like in first seasons like this. It's very much trying to find its footing, and it takes a while for it to get there. It has a lot of really great episodes. However, I couldn't help but feel that the season was kind of slow, like it was taking its time in a lot of areas, which, I mean, 22 episodes, yeah, that's kind of long, especially if each episode is like 40 minutes, but as said, there was a certain charm to it that a lot of people do love, and they still love to this day. It's a lot of people's favorite season, but it's not mine, and that's mostly due to the fact that I watched the show late. I don't have the nostalgia factor to it that a lot of people do. At number 2, we have the second season, Flash Season 2. This one was also really great, and a lot better than Season 1, in my opinion. Of course, let me get the biggest complaint out of the way. This season is just a carbon copy of Season 1. It literally took Season 1's story and basically just copy-pasted itself. However, I will give credit where credit's due. It did introduce a lot of new things that helped it elevate it. So even though it's the basic same bare-bones story of Season 1, there is more stuff to enjoy from it. For one, we had a more experienced Barry in this season. As said, it's not like season 1 where it was trying to find its footing. This second season felt a lot more established, and I really like how we also got that in the form of Barry himself. He's a more experienced Flash, and we get to actually see him mature as the season goes on. The different ways he fights villains and comes up with creative ways to defeat them is enjoyable. I also like the introduction to the multiverse and how it doesn't try to shove too much in your face at the same time. I really think there was only like a two-parter for the multiverse story this season. We didn't really go in depth to it until like season 3 and 4. So the way they introduced it was also really good. And of course, Zoom. Zoom is definitely the best part of the season. He's a true monster. You can actually feel like the menace within this guy. Especially like when he's like, you can't hold in the darkness, and he seems to get like possessed by this dark entity to go fast. His obsession with becoming faster is interesting. However, as said, it's literally also just the reverse Flash's motivation from season 1. So like, again, what's the point here? However, he is an interesting villain and character, so I can't really get too mad at it. Season 2, it basically buffs out all the edges I had with season 1 and is a lot better. It's basically what I wanted season 1 to be, and I can't get mad at it for that. But yeah, I just can't get over how much of a copy this season is from season 1. Hell, it got so bad that even season 9 became self-aware and called it out.
Solomon, love your work, although slightly derivative, don't you think? Pretending to be the Flash's ally. Let's see, whose playbook is that from? You mocking me? Now you're catching on. Good, Zoom. I'm the fastest.
The number 1, we have The Flash Season 4. This was the last truly peak season of The Flash. I know a lot of people really hate this one, and they call this one the actual beginning of the Dark Ages, but I don't. I really, really do enjoy this season. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate comments and dislikes just because I put this one at number 1, but I can't help it. It's really good. Of course, let's get the bad stuff out of the way. This season is where the de-evolution of Iris's character began, and it is so bad.
See, that's what you don't get. When I put this ring on my finger, it wasn't just about you or me anymore. It was about us. You are not the Flash, Barry. We are.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Aside from that horrendous line, this season is still really good. The action is probably at its very best this season, and the CG looks great, and it also helps that the Flash suit is amazing to boot. DeVoe was such a breath of fresh air when it came to villains. After having 3 straight speedster villains, it felt so good to have just a villain who had other abilities to counter the Flash, this being super intelligence. And yeah, DeVoe is a great villain. Of course, there's one scene in this entire season that makes it so worth it, and just worthy of being number 1 on its own. I mean, DeVoe's break-in scene to August is just one of the coolest scenes in the CW, period. It is just so many levels of awesome. And it just goes to show that the CW can make great action scenes and superhero entries if they just put their minds to it. This season also introduced us to Ralph, aka the best character in the entire show. And man, do I feel bad for Ralph and his actor. Both the character and the real world actor got done dirty. Basically, for those who don't know, the actor got fired from the show because James Gunn's reasons as well. There was some edgy tweets he made a couple years ago, and because of that, they thought it was good enough to fire him in the present day, much like how James Gunn got fired, and it's a mess. Despite him, I'm pretty sure, apologizing for those tweets, they still never brought him back. And as such, they wrote his character out of the show in the most nonsensical way possible in Season 7. Thus another reason why Season 7 sucks. But Ralph was such an amazing character, with such an amazing arc in the show, and I enjoyed him all through Season 4 to 6, and it's a shame we will never get to see him again. My beloved, I will forever miss you. There's also this amazing line from DeVoe I completely forgot existed.
Top marks, quick boy.
But overall, yeah, this was the only season of The Flash that I feel was consistently good. Did it have a couple hiccups here and there? Sure, Iris really got done dirty in this season. Not only did we have her dumb, we had the Flash line, but there was also the hypocrisy she had for getting mad at Barry for leaving, even though if he didn't leave, the world would end. Like, what are you doing? But otherwise, I still really enjoyed it. I can go back to almost any episode of Season 4 and have a great time with it. It gave us some of the best Flash content out there at the very least, both in the forms of DeVoe and Ralph, and I don't regret saying that. It's really genuinely good. And yep, those are my opinions on The Flash seasons 1 through 9 and where I rank them on an enjoyable list. Now, I know at the end of the day, my opinion doesn't really matter. I'm just really one guy. However, if there's one thing I think I can say that we can all agree on, that can just unite us as Flash fans, is that the show is a mess. From day one, it has basically just been one big mess. Okay, I can't really say from day one, but you can tell that there were definitely holes and hiccups that the CW just didn't know how to write themselves out of. This led to them creating a very messy show and making some very questionable executive decisions, especially when Eric Wallace into the picture. I still stand by the belief that Eric Wallace secretly hates the Flash because there is no way in hell he has made 4 seasons in a row with none of them even reaching the peak of the first 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, the show ended, basically everyone can agree, after season 4. It just went downhill and it became just a shell of its former self. No one can even believe that these two, that everything from season 1 to 4 and 5 to 9 are even the same show. It just doesn't make sense how they're both connected like this, but they are. They all exist under the same roof of being the Flash, and for better or worse, these 9 seasons are now a part of the Flash's character and superhero history for, well, forever. I still had fond memories of the show, and I still stand by saying that the first 4 seasons do make it one of the best superhero shows out there, hiccups and all, just because of how much fun and and enjoyment I get from them. However, in the last 4, it really just became a chore to watch the show. I really only stuck around to see how it would end, and its ending, while not the worst thing in the world, is still pretty bad. So yeah, tell me guys, what did you think of The Flash? Do you think that the last 5 seasons actually had some weight to them, or are they just as bad as people say? What did you think of The Flash's ending, and what's your favorite season of this show? I feel I may have a good idea based on how unanimous the fan base is when it comes to things like this. However, I want to hear your thoughts. Tell me down below what your favorite season of The Flash is, what your favorite part of the entire show is, like what do you really go to the show to see, and what do you get from it? Because I feel like it's not the drama. The CW really likes to amp the drama for these characters, and I just feel like it misses that on all fronts. And you know what? Despite your thoughts on the show, there is no denying that the Flash CW show, that is the most popular version of the character. Grant Gustin is the most popular, and I guess to a lot of people, definitive version of the Flash. And it's really just sad that DC never bothered to put him in their movie. Like, what the hell? Out of all the characters you could include for cameos and whatnot, how was Grant Gustin never an option? That is just insulting to the show, as if it wasn't already a desecration from the beginning. Everything tied to this show is just cursed in some way, shape, or form, and I kind of love it for that. But yeah, despite my hate for the later seasons, I do not wish any ill will on the cast members, and I really do hope that they go find more fulfilling jobs for themselves in the future because, let's face it, they really, really do deserve it. A lot of them did not deserve to be stuck in this mess of a show, especially those who were introduced in the bad seasons like Allegra and Chester, or given more prominence like Cecile. I forgot all the actors, that's why I refer to them to the in-show names. If someone ever asks me what's something that started off great and just became bad, this show is the prime example of something that fell from grace. But yeah, anyways guys, thank you so very much for watching. I have been Captain Phoenix. Be sure to like if you like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell to be part of the team. Tell me what other shows, CW shows you've seen, and of course what part of the Flash show you liked, and what other CW shows you enjoyed, and if they fell from grace or not. Thank you so very much for watching guys. I have been Captain Phoenix, and with that I will see you in another universe. Goodbye my Rangers.